You tell me when we're live, Sean. Are we there? Welcome, YouTubers. It's a sad but celebratory day today here at the hot stove. So bring your tissues and you're welcome to chat with Sean. I'm not sure we'll get much on the air. We have a lot of folks chatting today, but we're happy to take your comments on the YouTube chat. Sean McFadden will relay them at some point. And for the YouTube watchers, I don't know if there's 1 or 10 of you. We don't have a live audience today for reasons you can assume. And so it's just going to be a bit of a quiet show today. We're expecting Pam Hinkley at some point this morning. We have all the producers, current and former, for our show today, so I'm going to jump right into that. Hey, welcome to the Hot Stove Society show on Cairo Radio. My name is Tom Douglas.
I'm Loretta Douglas.
And sitting in the fabulous Chef Terry's seat is my daughter, Loretta Douglas.
Very, very big chapeau to fill right
no
now.
kidding. You don't have a chapeau on. It was the only thing I said that we all had to wear a chapeau today. We are mourning and celebrating at the same time the life of Chef Thierry Rautureau. He was my pal here on the show for 25 years, my chef pal for longer than that, by decades. And while I am torn up by the whole concept that he's not going to be with us anymore, I am also not going to wallow because he was too happy.
Yeah, there was never a happier dude. He would not want to wallow.
Yeah, and this his situation that he found himself in was definitely not for the faint of heart, man. He had very few choices. He took the path that I think I probably would have taken, which is have the opportunity to possibly extend things a bit with a double lung transplant, and but there's risk involved, as we know, when somebody puts a snowplow through your chest. So it came out on the short end this time. I think in his next life, Amy, you said he's going to have a next life or a spiritual life.
I don't know about next life.
Oh, but you know about spiritual life.
I just know that his energy lives on and is very active, even though we cannot see him here.
That is true.
Definitely.
I agree with you on that. I love the energy. Becky, you're going to produce the show today. We have our current Becky Guzak, our current producer, and four of our prior producers, including Tina Nole from including Tina Nole from California on Zoom. Amy Pennington is here. You were here when we started the show, right?
Yep. Yeah, Tina and I. That's how I met Tina, and she's turned into a lifelong friend.
Oh, there you go. Yep. Madeline Dow here, who left us just to try and get cheap tuition at a private school here in town. She left us hanging.
That's smart.
And Amy Richardson, who still works with us, did the show for a while. And, of course, Pam Hinkley, you all know, is the most recent alumni, did the show for a few years during COVID. Got us up and running and got the whole hot stove kind of back in person and up and running. So we are going to celebrate Terry's life. We're going to invite Tina in right away because she's on Zoom out of California. She's a very busy woman, although she forgot her chapeau this morning. So, Tina, I always see you in a hat. What happened today?
I'm inside in a hotel room, so I'm not wearing any hat today.
Oh, that's fine.
I'm having a little bit of a hard time hearing y'all.
All right. Well, Sean will work on that, and then we'll move on and come back to you. How about that?
Okay.
If you can't hear us. So, Becky, do you want to introduce yourself here? You're the newest member of our team, and started out as a temporary position, might still be depending on your life and your schedule, and where Loretta ends up in her life and her schedule. So
I'll talk to the alums, get their opinions. It's been a lot of fun, and it was super. I mean, I've known Terry for a long time. It was such a joy to. All of us have been in this unique seat to sit across from Terry and just learn from him and the joy he brought into every room. So it's been an honor to spend time with him and all of you. And it's a sad day, but we got to keep it positive and keep it good. Tina's good.
Okay, so we're going to run back to Tina here. Tina, what you got for me?
I can hear you loud and clear, and I wish I could give everybody in that room a giant hug right now because I just miss y'all so much.
Kathy Rautureau is going to come by today after the show specifically for that, a giant hug.
Oh, good. I'm so glad to hear that. She's such a wonderful person. You know, I got to know Kathy a bit when I was lucky enough to go to France with Kathy and Thierry on a boondoggle trip from when we were Seattle Kitchen. And we just had such a wonderful time. Thierry swung my sister around the dance floor all night long one night. So they were just sweaty, laughing messes. Yep.
The man loved a dance floor. There's no question about that.
I was supposed to do an event with Terry this Saturday night down at St. Martin's University in Lacey, and of course he's not going to be there. But they wanted to do a moment of silence for him, and I said, "Hell no, we're going to do a moment of dancing for him."
That's right.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I mean, you know, he would come into the studio. We'd be all set up, waiting for y'all to arrive. And I don't know why I'm saying y'all. Suddenly I'm from Texas. We'd be waiting for you guys to come into the studio. And Terry would enter whistling or singing, you remember, and then kissing everybody on the cheeks.
Exactly. That man could whistle.
Yeah.
I mean, it was impressive.
He could whistle. Wasn't that crazy?
Yeah.
He always had a tune going for sure.
So you got to produce us as raw rookies. You know, when I first started on the show, somebody there, the program producer, I can't remember her name, asked me to
Chris Olinger.
Yeah, it's Chris Olinger. Very good. Asked me to fill in for Dave Ross when he was on vacation one day, and I guess I did okay enough that she offered me this Saturday gig, which when you were forced to team up with me, and then you were Dave Ross's producer, and it's like, oh my God, what am I going to do here?
Here's this wackadoodle dandy.
Yeah, exactly. And it turned out, you know, when I did the live show from Cairo, I think for our first 5 or 7 years, we did live 3 hours every Saturday. Right. I had asked Terry to come in a couple of times because it felt good to have a foil across from me. And I know, Amy, you would come in a couple of times and talked on the radio. And it ended up that Terry and I meshed really well. Our divergent backgrounds just complemented each other as far as classic radio. I wouldn't call it tension, but disagreement. What would you call it, Tina? Yeah.
I mean, it was like straight man, goofy guy kind of. Like your differences really complemented each other in such a funny and fun and like affable way that it was an easy listen.
Yeah, he's definitely classically trained. Grew up in all the kitchens that I dreamed about ever visiting. But I myself kind of seat of the pants, classic American chef, just cook whatever the hell I want, however the hell I want. If it works, great. If it doesn't, I'll try again. Terry, just a foundation of stone when it comes to his cooking. Just really classic chef. And then grew out of that as his career blossomed over the years into becoming this Northwest French chef. But also, I just thought, when it happened pretty much every day when people would stop me in the grocery store or on the street and say, "Why are you so mean to Terry?" You heard that a lot, didn't you?
I certainly did. Listeners here and there calling in or sending notes in, "Why is Tom so mean to Terry?" And I would always say, "Trust me, they love each other. It's all in good fun."
Well, yeah, it was part of the thing, right? The part of the thing is to create a little bit of like disagreement or tension or whatever, as you like in any show, whether it's TV or radio or whatever.
And him being classically trained and you just being the brilliant chef that you are and learning as you go, it was really funny to hear those, what you're putting Dijon in that? Why would you put Dijon in that?
Yeah.
You're going to do that, chef? So, yeah, it made it really fun.
Yeah, of course he put Dijon and shallot and thyme in everything that he ever made.
Everything.
So when we come back, Tina, we're going to stick with you for a little bit and then let you get on your way, talking a little bit more about Chef Terry, talking about our time on the radio, and maybe if you could think about the fact that you didn't think that we would last 3 months, much less 25 years on the radio. When we come back, it's Tom and Loretta and Maddie and Amy and Becky and all of us here talking about Chef Terry. On Cairo Radio, it's the Hot Stove Society show. 97.3 FM.
Very weird not to
I know,
like
it's so hard to not clap.
I know we want to clap.
We
We can clap.
Yeah.
Terry was our audience motivator, so. Nice job, Tina. You kept it together.
I'm trying.
So do you have some thoughts like what I suggested as far as the tease goes? Or do you have some thoughts you're going to...
For sure. I wonder
Oh, you're
if
cutting
you
out on me.
wanted to talk about that time that we... How's it now?
That's better.
Oh, darn, you're so good there for a minute.
Yep.
If you close any other... I closed all my things in hopes of staying together here. Okay.
All right.
You know, I wonder if you... Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay. I wonder if you want to talk about that time that we did that weird thing with the live audience where you guys made blood sausage.
Sure.
Do you remember that?
I don't remember
Because
much.
it was Thierry's idea to do the blood sausage, and we had Ron Reagan's wife
You guys
who
saved
at the-
this for the show.
Yeah. All right. Here we go.
Okay, it was so ridiculous.
We're back in the Hot Stove Kitchen here at the Hot Stove Kitchens in downtown Seattle. We're celebrating the life of Chef Thierry Rautureau. It is sad but true, but it's also something to celebrate and not to wallow in. As far as I'm concerned, you know, I'm not much of a wallower, but I am definitely a rememberer, a celebrator, and taking the good parts best. What are you laughing at?
I'm laughing at the masculine proclivity towards not wallowing.
Is that a masculine thing, you think?
Yes.
Okay, good. Tina is in California zooming in for us today. She was our original producer at Cairo, forced into our playpen, and ended up staying for, 15 years, Tina?
Well, Chef, if you remember, I stayed, and then I moved to California. No, I'm sorry, I moved to New York. And then when I came back, I begged you both back to do a radio show, and we did it for another decade together. So you're right. I did come in a little kicking and screaming because I did not know a thing about food. The two of you taught me an awful lot. And then when I came back from New York, we did the show for another decade together, which I'm just so honored and happy that I got that opportunity. And I am definitely holding it together. I want you to know I'm not going to cry, Tom Douglas.
You should be more male and not wallow, I guess. Hey,
I've done some wallowing over the past few days.
we did some funny things when you were our producer, especially the one I remember from back then is our 5-year anniversary show that we did live, and we had like a Iron Chef competition at the Palace Ballroom, and we had the different groups of announcers from, or what do you call them, DJs from Cairo, Ron and Don and Dave Ross and Dory Monson, and who each had a little corner of our ballroom, and we did Iron Chef competition with Chef Terry kind of emceeing the entire event.
He was the best live performer, like great on the radio show, but also give that man a mic, and boy, he would just own the room, didn't
Oh
he?
my God! Yeah.
So true.
Tell us about your
Every
blood
woman in the
sausage.
room just wanted to marry him. Oh, Tom, this is one of my favorite stories. We had this bright idea to do another live show at the Palace Ballroom, and me not knowing, we'll make it in front of the live audience, and then we'll give everybody a try of this tasty thing you guys are going to make. Well, Thierry decided to do blood sausage.
Oh, nice.
And I didn't know anything about blood sausage or really what it was. But we invited a celebrity guest on, which was President Reagan's son, Ron Reagan. And Ron brought his wife, who's no longer with us, but she was
Okay, Tina, we have to start that over again.
And
Tina, stop.
Thierry made
Tina.
blood sausage in front of a live audience.
Stop for a second. You have to start with the blood sausage again because you're breaking up on us. I'm not sure. Every time you move closer to...
Okay, I'm going to stay still.
Yeah, you cut out. So start again with the... So, Tina, tell me about the blood sausage incident.
Okay, well, we decided to do, if you remember, a live show from the Palace Ballroom. And me not knowing much about food, I said, you guys choose an ingredient, something you're going to make in front of this audience, and we'll give everybody a try of it and kind of teach them how to make it as we go. Tom will make his version, Thierry will make his version, and we brought in a celebrity guest to judge the competition, which was President Reagan, Ron Reagan's son, who was also a radio host at the time with us. And his wife came as well, who was a vegetarian.
Nice.
And we had to make... So Thierry makes this blood sausage, and there was blood everywhere.
Oh.
I mean, it was very graphic. And Thierry's describing it all. And there's an audience of like 40 people. And it is, as a producer, you're watching something unfold in front of your eyes just in slow motion. Like, no, please let me go back in time and choose a different ingredient. I mean, Thierry, of course, was hilarious the whole time. I hope we have tape from it because he just handled it so well. And I think it was also dawning on you and him how like kind of graphic the whole thing was.
Well, yeah, because you have all this bread soaking up the blood, kind of inflating this red bread that you're trying to stuff into a sausage casing.
I'm
Yeah,
having
exactly.
a visceral response right now.
Just hearing about it.
I mean, it was absolutely ridiculous, but the whole time. And I think he ended up, we did serve it to the whole audience. It was absolutely delicious. I don't eat much meat, but it really was delicious. But the whole thing was so graphic and disgusting. And you guys just held it together the entire time.
You know,
So,
it looked a lot like my finger did last week after it came out of the wood splitter at my farm. So yeah, that was very much a blood sausage. If I remember right, I actually bought a Spanish blood sausage that was cured. So I just pan fried it and served slices of it. And he actually made
So you entered a competition with a pre-bought
well,
product?
you know, our whole stick was he's classically trained and he does it his way. Me, you know about shortcuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I took the shortcut. There's a delicious Spanish blood sausage on the market. Why not use that? And so certainly blood sausage wasn't the hot topic in Newark, Delaware, where I was from. So anyway,
Who won? Who won, Tina? Do you remember? Who won?
Well,
I
Ron's
don't really
wife
remember.
died,
It was
I think, on the
probably
stage.
Thierry. Let's just say Thierry.
Of course, Terry won.
Tina,
Oh
I
my
remember
God.
you used to, when I was listening to early
Yeah,
on,
he
you
was.
used to
It
say,
was.
Go ahead, Tina.
I'm sorry, I lost some. Somebody started saying something. I lost it.
I remember listening to you guys early on, and you would say, "Chefs, stop being so chefy."
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of work to help the audience, help people like me as a producer. You listen from the audience perspective to help people understand and make the topics consumable to the audience. So we had great fun. We did a lot of traveling together. We did live show at Farm Aid once. We did the Puyallup Fair. We just had, and one of my favorite times, Chef, was after every Maritime show we did, we would all go out and have some cocktails. And those were just some of the most fun times with Thierry and you being your silly selves and us getting a little tipsy on a Thursday afternoon.
Yeah, that was awesome. And then Terry would often host us all for our annual Radio Christmas celebration.
Yes.
And over at the Luke or Rovers, whichever one was open at the time. And it was certainly a good time to trash him. Like, what is this that you put in front of us?
Some wine consumed.
Yes, there was. Exactly.
Oh, boy. Wonderful, wonderful memories of that show. I mean, and I will tell you, Tom Douglas, Thierry read that show sheet every week. I can't say the same for you. But Thierry always read that show sheet every week. He came prepared, knew what we were talking about until it came to the food quiz, as you know. Some of Thierry's, did you guys freeze? Did I get there?
Oh, we're good.
Okay. Some of Thierry's answers to the food quiz were always hilarious. Like, he knew the answer, but sometimes he would just freeze and say the strangest.
Exactly. Well, I was trying to think when I used to laugh at him, I'd think to myself, I bet if you were taking this food quiz in French, that you would be sounding very similar.
Exactly.
I mean, understanding some of those idiosyncrasies in two different languages is always a challenge.
And I want to tell you, occasionally it might have been intentional that I said, let's teach people how to cook using only a sheet pan today, because hearing Terry say sheet pan over and over again was always so fun.
Oh, that's just mean, and I like it.
He was so funny.
All right, Tina. Well, it's special to have you here. I'm glad you can make time in your busy day down there. Hopefully, you're making
Thank
millions
you.
of dollars. That's the only reason I could imagine you didn't fly up to be here in person.
Exactly, Tom. I'm rolling in it over here.
Yeah, exactly. Up next is Amy Pennington, who worked with Tina in the beginning of this show and got to know Terry that way. Is that right? Working on the show. So good. Thanks, Tina.
Bye,
Okay.
Tina.
Thank you.
Peace
Bye,
out.
guys.
We're going to continue our tribute to Chef Terry. I guess I will wallow, since I've been insulted about my not wallowing. And we'll be back right here on Cairo Radio. It's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM.
The weirdest thing, a seagull just landed right here on my windowsill, like right next to me. So weird. Hi, bird.
Yeah, you look tasty this morning.
All right. Right. Thank you so much, Tom.
All right, bye.
Big hug.
Love you, Tina.
Love you too, Ames. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Crazy kid. Yeah. I always think it's so awesome that, like, when your job is actually in production, like Tina's literally her whole life is audio production, and then things aren't connecting. Like, that's so funny.
Well, her whole life has been things not connecting too. So.
That's not
true. You
I
both
take
know that
laugh
for a
back.
fact.
I take that laugh back. I didn't mean it, Tina. Yeah. Is this like Oprah? You get
A box.
you get a caviar.
When
You
are we-
get a
when are we
I
caviar.
getting
told
our
you, Kat.
Costco ham?
I told you. You didn't believe me. Hey, that can go right in the fridge, I think. It'll fit through the door, won't it, or not? Okay, then. What do we have today, Annie? Okay, then you can just. Do you want to leave the cart or not? Okay, you can just leave it right there. Thanks, Taylor. No. That's okay. Right, Ames, you ready?
I think so. I don't know.
This
Are you gonna
is
wallow?
segment
No, I'm
3,
gonna try
right?
not to. I'm gonna channel my inner dude.
John, we're going on segment
Just
3.
chill out.
And we're back here at the Hot Stove Kitchens on Cairo. My name is Tom Douglas.
I'm Loretta Douglas.
She happens to be related. Went off to become an attorney and ended up back in the restaurant business,
Tucked back in.
like a little yo-yo.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Happily.
Also, the mother of my darling 3 grandchildren,
Yes.
Hercules, Adonis, and Athena.
Yep.
So
Those
it's good
are definitely their names.
good to have you here. We're celebrating the life and times of Chef Thierry Rautureau, my partner on the show for close to 25 years, my good pal in life, and really just a charmer for the city. Having written a note for our website a couple of days ago, the amount of love in this town for that man was
Absolutely.
Tremendous.
overwhelming.
Yep.
Yeah, I was reading the comments, and you can't help but bawl when you're reading the comments. Like, he affected so many people just with his beautiful smile and his charming self, that whether or not they even ever ate his food, which was suspect, he would love that. He didn't have to. His personality came through in
I think
spades.
it spoke so much to, like, everybody had this unanimous experience with
Yep.
him just being lovely.
Yeah.
And he treated everybody the same. And he was thrilled to stop what he was doing and talk with anybody. And he, everybody got a kiss on each cheek and a smile. And it was.
Ooh, I got a lip kiss.
Ooh.
Really?
Yeah, lottie dottie.
Whoa. Well, that's just something he could do. That is
Yeah.
just something I could never do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. That was one of our many differences, is that he could walk into a dining room and literally stop at every table, introduce himself, be jolly, and I would cower in the
Clam
dining
up.
room because I'm just a little shy that way. So,
Yeah. And he relished it. I mean, he did it in my mind because he loved it and he was genuinely interested in
Yeah.
other people and their experiences and things like that.
It brought him joy to give
Yeah.
give joy.
Yeah.
The joie de vivre.
joie de vivre. Amy Pennington is here.
Yep.
And you were working on the show at the very beginning.
Yep. With
And
Tina.
while we were figuring it out,
Yep.
as whether it came to show sheets or content, we were live
yeah.
and for 3 hours every Saturday in 7 years that we were live coming from the Cairo studios. I missed 3 Saturdays in my whole time in 7 years.
Yeah,
that's
maybe something
because
like
I
that.
took the show to Hawaii. I took
Yeah.
it to Italy. I took it
Yeah.
everywhere I went on my little box that
Yeah.
I could, my tie line they're called.
Technology has come a long way of how you can get into your show.
It was a
now.
little bit like Tina though. Every time you get going, it's like something happened and you're
Yeah,
dead
always.
air. And yeah.
That's one of my memories actually is Thierry, you were away. I don't know where you were that you didn't, maybe it was before you took the kits and he did the show solo and I went with him to be like the him to the you.
Right.
And he was so nervous. He was so nervous. He was so prepared. He had the show sheet. He was like really stressed, but he was, just like we all remember him being so warm and he was trying to be cool and he was kind of barely keeping it together because it's stressful actually to fill like all that time. And so like there was a lot of like I remember even I was young, I was in my 20s probably, and I felt like he needed like I held his hand through that and just sort of like you're okay, you're good, and like he was great, he was totally great. But that is I do remember him being incredibly nervous, and me at first thinking, I mean really he's not that much older than I am. But at the time, he really felt like an adult, and like, and I was like, oh, an adult is struggling. That's so interesting. Like, it was just really interesting to sort of observe. So that he did do 1 or 2 by himself.
Yeah.
Pretty okay.
He was such a professional in that way.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think like, despite your guys' kind of goofy banter, I mean, he took this very seriously. He took his food very seriously. He wanted to do a good job at the things that he was doing.
Big preparation, like not really much on the fly. It
Yeah.
didn't feel like to
Bigger
me.
big preparer.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just going to disagree a little bit. He was very much on the fly.
Well, I think like as in the beginning anyway, he was like very organized. And if you think about the way he cooks, even like French is
the
like
way he
very
cooks
classic.
is like
That's what
that.
I mean. Like
Yeah.
it's a lot of preparation.
Yeah.
Everything is the way that it is all the time.
Right. Yeah, that was something that when I would stop in his kitchen and have a whiskey while he was cooking, I was always amazed at the different prep things that he did ahead of time to put out. His menu was almost 10 courses on the savory side and 5 or 6 on the vegetarian side.
Yep.
With 30 tables in house, trying to keep track of 10 courses for 30 tables or 60 diners. You've got to be organized.
Yeah, everything was very meticulous,
Yeah.
which was sort of like in contradiction to how he showed up in life. You know what I mean?
With his red trousers and
yeah, his red trousers, so good. Yeah.
If you haven't read it, Siri, I don't
I
remember
did saw
Siri's
that.
last name, but
Yeah.
she did a more personal post than mine from
Oh,
a
yeah.
friendship perspective.
Okay,
Oh my God, it's so touching.
so good.
Was that under Facebook comments? Maybe
I'm not sure.
I can't remember where it
Siri
was. It's either
Angela's.
Siri what?
Angela's was her.
Siri
maiden-
Angela's.
her- I don't know.
She's
if she
such a
changed it.
sweetheart, and
Yeah, she's great.
her post was overwhelming.
I
Now,
haven't tapped
I'm
into
not
all
a
that.
Thierry person
Yeah.
very much.
What?
I'm a
Thierry
Thierry
for
person, but
Thierry.
not a Thierry person very much. And it brought me to tears. It was unbelievable.
Oh, that's
So,
nice. I'm
yeah.
sure she'll love to hear that.
Yeah. What else do you remember about your time producing our fabulous radio show?
Well, you guys were so fun. And like I said, it was a time where I was really learning. I learned so much from both of you. But I remember like when I was trying to think about what like a core memory with Thierry, it always goes back to just his childlike, exuberant nature. He just showed up to everything like it was the first time. I feel like everything was very wide-eyed in wonder. And, he was a chef, and you were a chef, and like it's almost like he looked.
Oh
up
no, he was a chef.
I know, but it's almost like he looked up to you like in a funny way. And anyway, it's one of my core memories, and the first time that my mind was kind of blown because I just sort of presumed you guys knew everything and had everything together.
We do.
I now know that that's not true. I can now see in my
Presuming makes it true.
my perspective. That's right. But I don't know if you remember this, Tom, but we took him out to pho. You took him out to pho. We went to Pho-Bok.
Pho-Bok, yeah.
Right. It was the little triangle one
Mhm.
before they changed it.
You know, that's the shape of a junk,
A junk.
like a Chinese junk.
Oh, no,
it's
I
the
don't
name
know
of
that.
a boat.
Oh, okay. No, I
Mhm.
didn't understand that. And anyway, we went and we sat at a table, and I had a hard time understanding that he had never had pho. And then you told him what to order. He got a pho chai nam, and he ate it, and he was like, "This is really good." Like he was just so surprised at how delicious it was. And I was thinking, like, it's a classic, like everybody here eats. How did you not? And he put in the little herbs, and oh my god, the herbs! just so like he was so exuberant about it,
Right.
and it felt like such a basic dish of Seattle, you know. And I feel like he just showed up like that in everything. Like there was always, even with gardening, you guys used to have me, like after I stopped producing the show, I would come on as a guest.
Go Green Garden.
That's right.
Go Green Garden, and we would talk about, you know, growing food. And he knew everything about growing food. He did not need any kind of instruction. He understood it all. But he would, I would say something. He'd be like, "Oh, that's so interesting. Oh yeah, you do that." Like it's like I kind of get tired of things when I know them forward and backwards and they're part of my breath. I'm like, yeah, whatever. You know, it's a pea. It's sweet. It's delicious. It's good. And he like never had that blasé kind of attitude.
Mhm.
Everything was like very enthusiastic, very much in love, like just very French. You know, everything was just like very French.
Not all the French people are that way, I can tell
I
you.
know, but he like embodied that. Like his spirit was so that way. Like everything was very, very enthusiastic. So that's one of my favorite recipes. That's one of my favorite memories. And then just of course, like Thierry was always, like everyone is saying, always very open. I texted him for years, you know, like I occasionally text you too. How do you cook a boeuf bourguignon or whatever? I would just say like, give me the quick. And he always,
I taught him how to do that, you know.
Oh yeah, I'm
Right.
sure you did.
Sure.
He would always send, you know, he always responded. He would always send like really thorough recipes, you know, like he was never flippant about it. He just was always there for, I imagine, everybody. And then I actually used to work sometimes like twice a year in the Sheridan. I would do an event down there, and I would always go to Lule afterwards and just sit in the bar by myself and drink. And he would always come. And like, he was such a celebrity there, is he couldn't walk through the dining room without getting stopped
Right.
20 times.
Mhm.
And he would just like come, and we would shelter in the little bar, and he would just like gossip, actually.
Not Chef Thierry.
Yes. And we would talk about it, and he'd be like, "Oh my God, this table is not really about like the clients, but just like about life and whatever." And everything was always in his voice like this. Like it was a secret, and it was just like so sweet. So that is really what I remember the most, or I will remember the most rather. It's like just this big life, very enthusiastic, very exuberant, childlike, joyful. And quite frankly, I like channeled that to come in today because I don't want to be talking about this. And then I just heard him in my head, and he was like, "Just go, be with your friends.
Yeah.
You know, it's be fun.
Yeah.
Like, why would you stay home? Just come on, you know, like that
That's
kind of
sweet.
thing."
Yeah.
So that's what I think of when I think of him.
Well, that's sweet. It's so true. And you know, I would go into Lule and have dinner, and I was expecting him to sit down with me, but he was too damn busy with every other table in the house to come and say hi to me. So yeah, I would walk out in disgust. So, don't you know who I am?
Yeah, no, he always made time, and he really is like, I learned so much without him actually teaching me, just from being around you guys.
Well, we're going to continue with you, and we're going to bring Loretta into this conversation because she literally grew up with Thierry during this segment. And I'm curious when your first memory of Chef Thierry is, because you know his kids are about your age, and you
We grew up
were
together,
restaurant
yeah.
babies. Restaurant babies on Cairo Radio. This is the celebration of Chef Thierry's life on the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM. Did I make that clock? Yeah.
That was great.
So if you have one more,
Yeah, I have lots of
okay,
things.
good. So,
Yes, maybe. I
if
don't
you
know.
could intertwine,
Yeah.
because I don't have a spot for her
Okay.
specifically, so just intertwine.
Okay. I have a
'Cause
perfect story to bring
knew
it
her
in.
at that age too.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Yep. Yep.
Well, at your age,
I'm
you
trying
probably
to
did.
think. I need.
That's why never mind. Maddie, you're not old. No, you're not. How old are you now? 43? Woohoo! I tried.
If I had said that 43 and she was just 40,
Wait,
I
I'm
would
sorry,
get a
you
ration.
just turned 40?
Because I was trying to think of some
December.
like the oldest age she could possibly even be would be 43.
Just
You're
turned
probably hell-
40
I'm going
a
to turn
year
50
ago.
next year.
Nice backtracking there, Pennington.
Well, yeah.
What are
No.
you, 53? I mean, 43?
What are you like 48? No, I did. That's the oldest she could possibly be. I'm 10 years older than you.
All right, we're back here in the hot stove, continuing our celebration of Chef Thierry. As many of you know, he's been gone out of the radio show for a month while he went and took a shot at getting his health back in order. Sadly, it didn't work. Chances are, when you take your chances, he knew that it was risky. At the same time, he was willing to bet that
Very much like him, though, I think.
if
to,
he were to get-
take the bet. Yeah.
take the bet and try and get an extra 10 years. So I'm really proud of him for the effort. He has kids your age, Loretta,
Yeah.
and I'm sure he was hoping that before his life ended that he would see a few grandbabies like I've seen, because that's what people say at my age. Is, do you have any grandbabies? Yeah. Amy, you were, had us as baby radio show people. You met Loretta as a baby, essentially.
Yeah, I think Loretta was 8-ish.
8-ish,
10 or
and
something like that.
watched her grow up.
Yep.
Any shared thoughts that you guys have?
Well, I'm curious if you remember Loretta because you were
I
older.
have no memory of anything. So my
Really?
Yeah.
Well, she just had twins. I hate to break it to you.
Also, just mom brain is taking over.
Well, this was a pretty this would have created an emotional imprint on anyone who saw it. Did you ever see the TV pilot your dad and Thierry did?
Oh my God.
See,
I was thinking about this as I was preparing to come on this show. That it is so sad to me that more people never saw that Spy Chef pilot that
For the Food
Yep.
Network. Remember, that was
For
when
the
the Food
Food
Network
Network.
was just starting.
that
Yeah.
you and Thierry recorded, because it was the most embarrassing thing I've ever seen.
Oh, I didn't know where that was going.
Cringeworthy. Yeah, you guys had all this whole what was
I was
the
Fabio
premise?
and he was mini me Fabio.
Oh yeah, they created personas.
Uh-huh.
And what else? What did you do?
Well, the whole idea was that we were undercover
Right.
and that we would sneak into famous chefs' restaurants and steal their iconic recipe
And
Yeah.
then recreate
that's
them,
right.
right?
and then recreate them in our Spy Chef kitchen.
Oh yeah.
And that was the show.
Well,
And the walk-in refrigerator was our cone of silence, which is really the only true thing that still exists is the cone of silence. You always go into the walk-in where you think people can't hear
Totally.
you, unless you're Bridget Charters, who leaves her microphone on
oh,
when she's in there.
yeah. You guys, and they dressed up in costume
yeah.
and drag. I think you were in drag.
Fabio,
It was
hello.
Fabio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
and-
I was a geisha.
And Thierry wore a really long
Things that would not
brown haired
fly
wig,
these
and he
days.
loved flipping. You have to find this video and post
I
it.
have it.
Flip his hair. And
I'm sure it's on
he
VHS
really embodied
tape.
it, but he had a lot of 5 o'clock shadow going on. I mean,
But they
it
were
was-
spy rolling through the kitchen of this restaurant. It was the campiest.
camp. That's a great word.
Whose
for it.
idea was this? Did you guys come up with the idea,
Yeah.
or
Clearly it was
We came up with the
Tom's.
idea, and then we
Clearly,
pitched
it
it.
didn't get picked up.
We pitched it to the Food Network. The Food Network gave us money to do a pilot, but they wanted show 44. They didn't want just the first show. They want something else just going to look after a few episodes.
Right.
And so we did it, and it was 2.5 minutes, and it was freaking funny.
Loretta,
listen,
do you
guys,
agree?
you're still laughing 25 years later.
It was camp.
Yeah.
Loretta
But then
nailed
they
it.
gave us $75,000 to do a real full 22-minute show. Man, did we fall flat on our face. Yeah, 2.5 we were good.
Yeah.
22 minutes we didn't quite pull it off.
See, so you were really young when they did that, actually.
Yeah, and I was embarrassed by it then and now.
Yeah.
It's great. No, but it was hilarious. But yeah, I mean, I grew up with Ryan and Adrian, Thierry's kids. I think I'm a year or two older than Ryan, and he's recently married. I'm thrilled that Thierry got to
Meet Selena.
yeah, part of that. And but yeah, I just remember like long dinners, and we would three of us would excuse ourselves down to the basement and go play for hours while the grown-ups drank wine and carried on their
Shenanigans.
shenanigans. But
Oh,
he's
you
been,
still-
but Thierry's been the same. Like the entire time I've known him, was the same. Like he treated me the same at 8 years old that he treated me at 30 years old, and in a lovely way. Like he wasn't playing down to me at 8 and he wasn't playing up to me at 30. It was just
Some people have that knack. You know,
Yeah.
Pamela Hinkley, your godmother and our former producer, has that knack too of just talking to everyone in exactly the same way. Where I guess I tend to, hey, little kid, you know, like
Yeah.
you change the tone of your voice. You do all. Theory's like, hey, what's up? You know, it's like,
yeah, and with genuine interest in what an 8-year-old is doing, in the same genuine interest that a
because he had that playful
30-year-old
side
is
to him.
doing. Yeah.
Your cousin Jeffrey is that way. He can talk
Yeah.
to anybody at any age and have a genuine conversation with them.
Yeah.
Amy,
I
what
can.
else is on your list of fabulous memories?
Oh, well, that TV, I thought for sure
I
Loretta
think you
would.
can find it online.
Really?
I think
The
you
pilot?
can. Maybe Becky could look that up and see. But
It was
it's called
Spy Chefs.
Spy Chefs. Tom Douglas, Thierry Rautureau.
I would really echo kind of what Tina said about the dance floor. That's something that Thierry brought to every party. was
Karaoke
just-
mic.
Yes, exactly.
my
Like
God.
anything.
Oh,
I
boy.
was always amazed. Like he and Kathy were such beautiful models of like a healthy, fun, loving couple. They really actually felt like they were genuinely in love and very swoopy and very kissy, and like they would close down everything. I left early to everything compared to them. So that was also.
Oh, that's for sure. They closed
I have
it down.
so many like
Rick
dance
Yoder's the only
floor-
one I know that danced as hard as Thierry.
Really? Yeah. So that dance floor core memory is up there with everything.
Okay, so here's a question then, since
Yeah.
you remember that so well. As I mentioned earlier, I have to do an event on Saturday night at St. Martin's University
Yeah.
with Armandino Batali, Dario Cecchini from Tuscany, the famous opera singing butcher. Thierry was supposed to be one of the chefs on stage along with myself. And they asked me to, the president called me yesterday, I think it was, and said, how are we going to honor Chef Thierry? We're thinking about a scholarship. We're thinking about this and that. And then, of course, we're going to start with a moment of silence. And I just said, absolutely not. We're going to ask people to get up on their feet and do a little jig for a minute.
Yeah,
So
I think that's
I
smart.
can't decide what song.
Oh, I know. I
The
was just
first thing
thinking
that came to my mind was ABBA, because he knows all
Yeah.
the music and he loves all
Yeah.
the music. So
Definitely disco era. Because
Uh-huh.
he used to tell stories about he and Kathy in New York City all the time too, and how they just used to be like, oh. Like, I never actually heard the story. I just always got that like, well, you don't,
The look
you don't
of
like,
like,
you
oh,
don't want to
you-
know
you
about this
know,
story,
maybe.
kid.
yeah.
So I would definitely like that. You're in the right era for sure.
Do you think so?
Yep.
So Dancing Queen.
That's a good one.
That's funny. That's what I came up with. That was my fallback if I didn't call them with something different. But I think of him with like Gloria Gaynor or
All that.
all that stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe Kathy might have a hot tip for you too.
Yeah, she's coming today.
But
so
that's a
maybe.
great. I think that's such a perfect. Exactly. He would really much prefer it.
The other thing I remember from the early days of hanging out in his kitchen, I had quite a few restaurants there, even early on compared to him, and he was working the line every night at his
Mhm.
place. So I'd go and we'd chat, and I'd drink wine and he had a bottle of whiskey for me, and but his whole fascination with pureed dots on the plate just
He started that.
made me twisted.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, what is up with the dots? Because everything had like these
It's true.
multicolor.
It's true. They were works of art, though. That's the thing. It was such a beautiful, everything was meticulous on the plate. But those dots were silly, but they tasted amazing.
Well, they were pure. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, it was either pure yellow pepper or pure beet
Yeah.
or pure whatever.
so good.
yeah, it wasn't a taste issue. It was just like,
It's really that I said that's like my bar now. If you go into a restaurant, it's like all dotty. I'm like, fuck, that's silly. I know. I heard it.
Sean, can you make a note on that, please? There was a little, you had a little F-bomb come out.
But yeah.
What do you mean? So if it has dots, you're walking out?
No, I'm not like walking out, but I just feel like it's been played. Like, I did that. Thierry was doing that 20 years ago with such beautiful elegance, like a new, fresh thing. And it's sort of like if you're leaning so hard into that now, like maybe it's time to just refresh your plating.
Exactly. All right, we've got another full hour of remembrances of our pal Terry. He passed away this last week, last Sunday, and we're sad, but we're celebratory for him and for the radio show. And there's been a lot of questions to me if we're going to continue the radio show. Absolutely, as long as Cairo will have us, we'll continue. If not, we'll probably just do a podcast. But anyway, so it's lovely to chat with you, Amy. Thank you for coming in. I haven't seen you forever.
I know.
Another full hour a week. John, can you fix that for me, Dottore? Another full hour of Chef Terry when we come back on Cairo Radio. It's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM. Been working on
Oh my God, I thought about that pilot in so long.
I know.
Did you find it?
I say an article about it, but I don't.
I think we have it.
Oh, I do have it. I have it on CD.
Yeah, I was gonna say like it was on VHS tape for sure.
The article's pretty funny. Seattle spy chefs on front burner at Food Network, July 10th, 2002.
2002, so I was 12.
21 years ago.
12.
The ink is drying on the
That makes
table.
sense because I met you before when I was in college before I started.
Yeah.
I
I didn't really meet you until your house burned down.
Yeah, probably.
That's when I got to know you a little bit. Yeah.
So I remember you house sat for us a lot. I remember. Was that when you worked in the office, or okay? And then I remember like make you come pick me up from school and stuff.
Exactly.
Not very often.
Not very often.
That was.
Yeah.
Oh, let's talk about that.
Well, not arguably. Yes. No. I'll just.
That would be enough.
All right.
I was thinking it's Pam.
Me too. I really don't like it.
Amy Richardson, you want to come up to a mic, please?
Yeah.
But does Maddie have a time?
No. Go
Okay, I just want to make
She
sure.
doesn't work. She's an executive.
I literally wrote down last night Dancing Queen or Love
Love Shack, is that Love Machine?
Machine. Oh.
Oh, you know what? That would be a good one for Sean Del Torre to play.
Sean Dottore, maybe an intro of Love Machine. Who's that by?
That's right.
Have to
Songs like
Google it.
ABBA and French music and all that stuff would be great.
Can
I don't
talk
know what
about
I'm
Chateau du Fay also.
Well, you can bring that up at some point. So I went out of order a little bit, it looks like. So we're going to go with Amy Richardson and then Maddie and then Pam. And then we'll let the end bleed into whatever. Welcome back. It's the Hot Stove Society Show, hour number 2 of our celebration of Chef Thierry Rautureau's life. We have invited the current and former producers of the Hot Stove Society radio show into the house here today. We're sharing memories about our time with Thierry and our time on the show and all the loveliness that he brought each and every
All the way
week.
back to Seattle Kitchen Radio days.
know.
Yeah.
And in this last week, in reading all the comments on our page, on the Seattle Times page, on Facebook page, so many of our radio listeners commented about how
Yeah.
much they love and will miss him.
And how long they've been listening to
Yeah.
the two of you, I think not to discredit what you're doing here, but I was so surprised. Like there's so many people that have listened to this show for
Thanks, Loretta.
20.
That's really sweet.
I
You
didn't know how to.
you didn't know that anyone
in a
actually
way.
listened. That was awesome.
I just show up
Chef
here
Terry,
and talking
if
to
you
the
heard
void,
that-
you know?
Chef Terry, if you heard that, I'm sorry. Amy Richardson is here.
Hi.
You were the producer right before Pamela,
Yes.
and you took over when Madeline Pennington quit, if I'm not
Yep.
mistaken. And who's actually deigned to join us today. She doesn't share her time very easily, so we're thrilled that she's here. Tell us about some of your memories of Chef Terry. We've been talking on and off about all the different eras. So your era is what, 5 years ago or so, or 8? You've known him for a long time.
Yeah. I mean, we've done so many events together.
Yeah.
So many chef demos at the Palace Ballroom. One
So
of
much
them,
summer camp.
So much summer camp. So many charitable events.
Yeah.
So I think that was a lot of my side. One of my favorite ones I was thinking about, Loretta, you will probably remember this, when we were doing summer camp and Thierry's doing a demo. I don't remember what he's making. And then Tom had this brilliant idea to be like, okay, grab the poster of Thierry in my office.
Oh, good
so
Lord.
we run over and get this poster that's been up in Tom's office for years. And as Thierry's doing his demo, we just like show the poster.
I did my Vanna White across the stage.
Exactly. While he's making something probably delicious and fancy.
It was a caviar egg. I was
Oh,
there in the
wow.
audience. It was so funny.
No, this is the one, I think, the Vitamix poster.
No,
Yes.
but the demo was
What,
of
he was-
his
Oh,
caviar
the demo
egg.
was the
He's
caviar
all
egg, yeah.
formal and all chefy, and then you two with the Vanna White.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So did you know what I had one of those posters put up in his kitchen at Rover's without him knowing.
Oh, that's
also.
great.
Oh my God.
Now you
And
have
I
to
had-
describe.
If you haven't seen this poster, it was a nude Thierry
Right.
with a strategically placed blender
And chapeau.
and
Yep.
and his chapeau. of
Black
had
course.
his
and
hat
white.
on.
Yes.
He had no other clothes on.
It was.
But I had gone to
hilarious.
Bartell's and bought really tacky earrings and
Uh-huh.
stuff and had them strategically placed on his poster
Yeah, the
You had
blender
it
was hiding his
posted
bits.
in his kitchen.
in his kitchen, where he didn't even let music play in his kitchen. He was so serious. Like, yeah.
No, that
Oh
ad
my
ran
God.
in Bon Appetit and all over. It was.
Yeah,
That's
That
incredible.
was amazing.
Yeah, it was.
But while we were talking about dancing and music, over the summer, one of my friends and I went to see Mavis Staples and Bonnie Raitt, and here Thierry and Kathy are a couple rows ahead of us. And, you know, these legends are on stage, but we could not stop watching Thierry and Kathy. They were just dancing and hugging and kissing and dancing, and I couldn't even watch.
9 months
Bonnie
later,
Raitt.
Ryan came
Just-
along.
It was just the sweetest thing. So, Kathy, if you're listening, it was just like such a great thing to watch. I'm gonna always remember that.
They're good dancers too.
So
It's not like they
good.
get out there and are like fumbling around and they just like it. They're good dancers
Yeah.
and they're both like so fluid with each other. And
Mhm.
I feel like watching them, you just know that it's two people that have been together for like a long time. They're so
Mhm.
in tune with one another.
Mhm.
And yeah, it's super special to see them together.
Yeah. Yeah. I think one of my favorite segments, and Madeline can join in on this one, was Torture Tom and Thierry.
Torture Tom and Thierry was the best.
It was so fun. We would.
I have blocked it.
Oh, we would find like crazy,
the Cheetos mac and cheese.
hot Cheetos mac and
that.
cheese, like
Yeah.
bizarre food.
Tell us about that, because Maddie, tell me about
Yeah.
that. You sent me a picture of that.
I did. I sent Tom a picture yesterday. I texted it to you because I found it on my phone when I was looking. But we came up with a segment to torture Tom and I mean, there were so many things that he had not eaten before or experienced
He
before.
was such a junk food snob.
Mhm.
such a junk food snob, and
Yeah.
we are junk food connoisseurs.
Sewers is more like it.
Sewers.
Just sewers. And I believe Loretta came up with, she has the ultimate infatuation with Cheetos.
Yeah.
And mac and cheese.
Yeah.
So
Bell.
this
It's like top two favorite foods.
exactly this combination
Really?
No,
was
but-
going
So sad.
was going to be perfect to torture Tom and Thierry, because you can explain they came out with
Yeah, Cheetos released a branded mac and cheese, and there was like 3 flavors. And-
jalapeno and classic.
Yes.
I remember that.
And they like went viral.
Yes,
And people
it
were
was-
freaking out about them.
It was an exclusive
Yeah.
collaboration.
And Amy, if I remember, you had to go online and pay like 4 times the price
Yeah,
for them.
I bought them on eBay.
I mean,
I was
like
so
a
excited.
reseller. Yeah.
On the company card.
Of course. And we came and made them. And then the segment was forcing you and Thierry to try them and give your feedback.
The repulsed face.
Oh.
I mean, the color alone was not.
Oh yeah, the amount of red
No.
dye 40 in like
The flaming.
in the flaming
Flaming.
one, Thierry's face was just horror.
Not to mention, this was usually taped, 9, 10 in the morning. So everybody's just had coffee, and then you're just presenting this plate of flamingness. But torturing, we did pumpkin spice.
It
We
was
tortured
almost
you with
like
things.
getting the cold cans of chili, trying to decide on our Hot Stove Society tasting panel cans of cold chili. That was spectacular also.
I think you also
Pumpkin
did,
spice.
we pumpkin spice. We tortured you with, and then the breakfast sandwiches.
Yeah, which Tom loved.
And Terry didn't.
No, I mean you loved Wendy's.
I do love a
course.
breakfast sandwich.
Yeah.
I had one yesterday.
Of course.
McDonald's. Little biscuit, sausage biscuit. $7.50. I
Wow.
get these letters about my $10 sandwich at the Dahlia Bakery where we make the English muffin. We make everything.
Yeah.
$10. $7.50 at McDonald's.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thierry would eat your
That's my
breakfast
little rant.
sandwiches.
Huh?
He would eat your breakfast sandwiches,
Yes,
but
he
not,
loved ours.
not
Yeah.
McDonald's.
Yeah.
Certainly not McDonald's.
Yeah, we're going to have some serious decline in sales at the Dahlia Bakery now that Terry's not shopping there every week after the radio show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pizza shells.
Pizza
Love the
shells.
pizza
We
shell.
loved our croissant, our house bread loaf. Yeah, we're going to have to figure out something new there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Sean, what's our time? We're done. Okay, Amy, you're going to stay with us for the next segment. You and Maddie Pennington Dow, on Cairo Radio. We're talking about Chef Terry and his fabulous life on Cairo. We lost him this last weekend. We're super sad, but we're exuberant for his memory. On Cairo Radio, it's the Hot Stove Society show, 97.3 FM.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, Lennox. That's from Amy Rich. There's too many
There's
Penningtons.
Penningtons and Amy's and everybody.
Maddie Pennington.
I didn't either. Yeah, I didn't get
That's
one
because
either.
there's no chapeau that would fit your big head of hair.
Head.
Hi, Pammy.
Okay, Sean, if I'm not mistaken, just so that I'm current, we're on hour 2, segment 2.
So we have
So we're going to
Madeline
focus more on
and
you, Maddie.
Pam.
Do you have some things to talk about?
I was going to talk about charitable.
That's great. Maybe that was one of my stories. Was the
Oh my gosh.
Terry with the
I forgot
strategically
about
placed
that.
Vitamix
Yeah.
and his fedora.
And
I
his
didn't know you-
pierced nipples. I pierced his nipples
So
for him.
funny.
Yeah.
I didn't remember that was like a national ad.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Food arts is where I think it was kind of
You're-
started,
You're taking-
the Vitamix
It
thing.
was out the era with
Why's your
Brooke
makeup
Shields
so
saying
good?
nothing gets between me and my Calvin. I think it's that
Yeah,
same
probably,
kind of.
yeah. Or the milk ads. Remember the milk
Yeah.
ads? The milk on the
Oh, yeah.
Hot
Nice.
milk, yeah.
So,
Matt Lauer.
Oh my god. Canceled.
I mean the Halloween.
What did they dress up as?
Oh, I'm thinking.
Oh yeah. Okay. When
this
they did the
year-
J Lo dress.
Or the Olympics. What are
Mhm.
like?
Yep.
The J-Lo.
Love it.
Or send them to Becky, and Becky can read them off. You have the comments on the chat?
Won't fit.
I'll have you read them. So not quite yet. I'm going to try and get them in the last segment. All right, here we go. Segment. No, let's not start that way.
No one else cares what segment it is.
We're at the beautiful Hotel Andra in downtown Seattle, home of the Hot Stove Society and the Hot Stove Society radio show. We celebrate the life of Chef Thierry today. We lost him on Sunday, and the outpouring of love for him across our city and country. Within an hour, I had texts from France and England. So I mean, it was just, there's a lot of love for that man, and it's been fabulous to read it all and feel it all, because you can't help when you read it to not feel it.
Absolutely.
It feels so good. I feel like people are just wrapping their arms around him, and as somebody on our YouTube channel said, escorting him up to heaven to have a seat at Julia Child's table.
Absolutely.
He loved doing Julia Child impersonations. We've invited our current and former producers of the radio show to come in and share some of their thoughts and memories of Chef Thierry. And so up next is Madeline Pennington, not to be confused with Amy Pennington. I've been confused
Not
all
to
morning.
be confused with Amy Richardson.
Amy Richardson.
There's a theme in who you hire to produce this show, apparently.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. That's what I was
Madeline-
going to say. What does it say about the turnover of producers to your show,
It
Tom?
says you guys didn't care for Terry very much. Is what it says.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, that was my favorite part. Shepherded.
I think
That's
it
true.
shows like
It was
what
a
an
class.
amazing slate of women that you've had produce this show.
Hey, there's no one that would agree with you more than me.
Mhm.
So, Maddie, tell us about some of your memories. What years were you on the show?
I came on and helped take over the show after Tina helped a little bit, and
Uh-huh.
we actually were part of the sort of rebrand to highlight Hot Stove Society.
Hot Stove, yeah.
So we decided
From Seattle Kitchen.
from Seattle Kitchen. So I said, let's lean into, showcasing this amazing space. Having the live audience component was going to be really fun. It was.
That's why you're a marketing genius.
That's true.
Maddie.
That's why I'm here. And we rebranded with the Hot Stove Radio Show, which was super fun. And again, a nod to Thierry of just being supportive of that transition. And he was really on board with it and knew and recognized just the power of this space and what it can do for the Seattle area and for budding cooks, which was kind of fun. But we were also right in the height of COVID. So this time we had masks and we had to check people in. We were taking temperatures of all of us. There were times when we couldn't record and we could. And I just remember, I do disagree with Tina because I would make very elaborate show sheets. In fact, you told me to cut them in half by, I think, 19
Cut them in half
pages.
twice.
Yeah. And Thierry would not read them before. So I don't.
I
think he
remember
was
yelling him
convinced.
about not reading them.
Yeah.
When Tina said it, I was like, wait a second.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I totally disagree. He would roll in, but again, I would say it is to his credit, he was a complete professional.
Yeah.
I think the comments that we've been seeing quite a bit too just lends itself to his generosity, the charity that he would, do for every single component in Seattle area. It was always a yes. I talked to a couple winemakers yesterday who, acknowledged how supportive he was of the Washington wine industry and their partnership with Children's Hospital. And just, it was never a sorry, we can't this time. It was, how can I help you with that? And I think one of my favorite memories, and I'm glad Pamela is here too, because she might remember this, but we did this awesome project with a projectionist, which sounds like a faction of Congress right now, but a projectionist that we found on Vashon Island. This was when we were fighting the good fight to stop Pebble Mine.
Mhm.
And we found this guy to come up, and it was a 2 bajillion lumen projector that we put on top of the Palace Ballroom to project on the Weston parking garage wall that said "Stop Pebble Mine."
Mhm.
And we had a couple different slides: "Eat Wild, Save Wild," and it was awesome. And we had this big launch party at the ballroom. And I remember standing outside with Thierry.
And it
right
cost me
with
like
this-
$1 million.
$1 million,
Yeah.
but it was well worth it. It was
Was-
$500,000. This guy was thrilled for the business, I believe. but it was impactful and it was cool. And I remember at the event, Thierry and I were standing outside and I said, man, I've never wanted more traffic on Fifth Avenue, because at the time, it was just a parking lot between 4 and 6 p.m. in front of Palace Kitchen. And I was like, after hours though, got to get people to stop. And Thierry would literally just in his wonderful way, he's like, I will stand here and push the crosswalk button so that people have to stop.
That's
and I was
great.
like, all night? You're going to stand here for all night? And he was like, sure, maybe I'll take my clothes off and have them stay longer. It'll be chef in just the hat. That's what he said. And it was just, he would just embody any type of cause that
That he found
people would
righteous.
have.
Yeah,
absolutely. And he wanted to lend it. It wasn't marketing. It wasn't self-serving in any capacity. It was something that he truly passionately wanted to do. So that was one of my favorite memories of just offering to do that.
Absolutely. One of the cool things about Terry is that he didn't just sign on.
No.
He got involved, right? And we talked about it in my note to him, which was the 3 T's: the time, talent, and treasure. That sometimes you don't have all 3, right? Sometimes you're able to donate the time. Sometimes you can do all 3. Maybe you're rich and you can do all 3 and be on the board and do some of the treasure and the talent he certainly had in spades.
Yeah.
Cooking for people, whether they could afford it or not. And he just embodied that whole thought.
Yeah.
And I think for most people, I would say time is the hardest one of those to give. And he gave his time super generously to
exactly.
those.
And it speaks to the team that he built, similar to you, where he built a team in the kitchen who could take on those Saturday nights and those Friday nights in the kitchen so that he could do these dinners and galas and things like that. And I think that was important for him to prioritize and balance those elements in terms of owning and running a business.
Yeah.
I think that was the hardest part with COVID when we were all grappling with this was, okay, what can we do? Let's roll up our sleeves and get to work on this. And I think that was an interesting part of my chapter with the show as we were all navigating this unknown of business closures. And I was reading, it might be morbid, but I was reading through old texts and we were, we would be sending him all the governor announcements and capacities and percentages. And it was just,
There's some pictures of the show at that time that I saw of the two of you sitting at opposite ends of like a 12-foot table with masks on. And I remember we did the radio show for a little while out at the Ballard warehouse because we weren't open down here. And everybody was just like,
and we literally had to say on the air, we're not sitting close to each other.
Right.
we would have to prove it.
It's crazy.
To his last days here, he would walk in with a mask on because we were all terrified, as was he, with his lung condition, that he was going to get COVID or some other lung problem.
Complication.
He had plenty of problems already with his lungs. He didn't need more. And so he was very careful to wear a mask. And he told me when I had my mask on, he says, I've never seen you look better. Super nice.
Yeah.
Super nice. Exactly.
A face for radio, as they say.
But yes, he was a generous person. I know you guys did a lot together with Food Lifeline, and that was a huge passion for him. He would get anybody involved in that program. And
I got him on the board because I was finding myself, traveling with, all over the place and missing my board meetings. And, when you're on a board, you fulfill a mission for your particular spot on that board. And mine was the chefy spot, whereas other guys were lawyers and bankers. And this, they filled all their different roles. And so I had asked Terry to come on the board there to help make sure that we had that person, because it's a food bank, for God's sake. I mean, it's not, but it's a food distribution situation. So he was and he just went all in. Yeah, he never missed a board meeting.
Creative, I think, in terms of how you sort of can tap different talents in the city too. And that was also another nod to his, the relationships that he would make, whether it was just a diner or a distributor or anything else like that. Then he could actually tap those connections to help the cause, which is, I think, again, a special talent that only a handful of people can really possess, which was really nice. So.
We would always tap the same people, though. Poor Charlie at Charlie's Produce was like, oh, I just got a call from Terry. Oh, I just got a call from Monique. All wanting free produce because we're going to go cook for Food Lifeline or for whoever. So, Charlie was always the accomplice who didn't get quite the mention that we did as being the chefs. So,
no, it was good.
Good for him. When we come back, Pamela Hinkley is going to join us. You remember her just as our most recent exiter of the show.
Shamed.
We'll
She
stop
left,
calling
uh,
them producers and
She
just
left
call them
to go
exiters.
save the world down at the Pike Place Senior Center and Food Bank. We couldn't be more proud of her efforts. And so she's going to come back and share a few thoughts that she has about Mr. Rautureau. On Cairo Radio, it's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM.
That was great.
Thank you.
Nope.
No, that was on my list too. Yeah.
We did that. We talked about Kathy, but we can never talk enough about that. We have not. Mama Jeanette. No. We only have a limited amount of time here. I'm hanging out with him Saturday night. No. Nope. And I don't know that we can go there. I mean, just because I don't know enough about it to even. Mustard. We haven't talked about
that's
mustard
so funny. Or
or tarragon. Okay. Good. Let's make sure we
You
get
know, I
that on
wasn't
camera.
sure if you had a salad or something. Like, oh, that's interesting. Not on a plate.
A tarragon shallot mustard shrine.
That smells good.
Got it before the frost. God, the farm is down. It was 18 degrees there yesterday.
Wow.
Hi, Pammy.
Look at this. You're so lucky, all the beautiful women you attract.
They didn't come for me. I'm afraid this is the last I'm going to see them. They came for Chef Terry. Amy Pennington and her love of a foreign accent. Hence her Scotsman.
That's why she married so well. Oh. Not enough joie de vivre. Yeah, bigger adventures.
How much time have you been spending in Scotland? Okay. Okay.
How are we supposed to get our garden started? I thought I just got charged for the newsletter.
Wow,
All
you
right.
got hosed. That's a gardening term.
Oh, that's good. Oh, that's funny. And you're just
Ouch.
taking it in.
Hey, where exactly is your place in Scotland? But where? That's a big town. North, south, east, or west? Have you been up to Loch Lomond yet? Oh, yeah.
It's on the
South
south.
side. Yeah.
When are you
John
there
has a
next?
question.
Uh-huh. Yeah, we're just going to leave that alone.
Couldn't reach her.
No, we're not going to say that either. Ready?
Si. Oui.
Oui.
Oui, bien sûr.
Here we are in the hot stove kitchens, smelling tarragon right now because Pamela has brought a shrine.
An
I would
ode
call
to
it.
Terry.
An ode to Terry.
So you brought some. What? You brought tarragon and shallot and
The best mustard on the
that's your
planet.
favorite, isn't it? Is it still hard
is.
to get?
In the glass bottle. I noticed at your house you had it in the plastic bottle.
Uh-huh. Oh,
Oh, no
gotta-
plastic
It's
bottles.
Oh.
got
Okay.
it's got to be.
I
in
got
the
it
glass.
at Chef Shop.
So it's the Amora brand, and it's one of the first things Terry and I bonded over because it's got just the right, they call it extra fine and forte. So
Which is
strong.
Strong.
It's got a nice hit to it. So I made a tribute dinner last night
Did you?
to Terry with these ingredients. It was halibut cheeks in the obligatory shallot.
Uh-huh.
A lot.
Shallot, finely minced, always finely minced, and the halibut, and of course a knob of butter.
Yes, because
How many-
everything's better with butter.
And how many times did we ask him to describe what a knob of butter is? But it can always be bigger.
Right.
It grows.
Never enough.
There's
Yeah.
never enough.
As Terry would quote Julia saying, everything in moderation and including moderation.
Yes.
Yeah. So it had a lot of butter, brown. I think I told you guys as one of my parting shots, one of the great things I learned was to get my pans warm.
Right.
And so I had a real good sizzle of the shallots and stuff going before the halibut cheeks went in. So they got a nice brown immediately. And then an addition of his beloved muscadet from his home region,
Mm-hmm.
a little bit of cream, big handful of tarragon at the very end.
Yeah.
And I whisked in the mustard
Uh-huh.
at the very
Yeah,
end.
you don't need
too.
to cook it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we had just a delightful time reminiscing about the first time I ever spent some time with him, which was at Chateau de Fay, and about 12 of us went.
Mm-hmm.
Loretta, you
God,
have
I
a
still-
different version.
That is still like the trip of a lifetime in my head.
So Chateau de Fay was Madame Le Grand Bouffe's, Anne Willen's place in the Joigny in the area of Burgundy,
Yes.
outside of Le Caux Saint Jacques.
And we had 5 families. So Loretta, you were probably
I mean, 10-ish probably.
running around in the
Yeah.
woods with
With-
Terry's kids,
Right.
2 boys, and it was fall. So there was
And Terry, we went mushroom
Mushrooming
picking,
and
right?
truffling and
Truffling.
acorning.
And Terry tried to poison us all. He was
Yeah.
I was sure he knew what mushrooms were poisonous and which ones weren't. And I think we decided not to trust
Yeah.
him.
Smart.
But I reflect on that time because I came away from that trip thinking, man, he's a weirdo because he was so
Happy.
ebullient the whole time. And, there were enough of us there that I didn't get a lot of direct time with him. And I thought, that guy is a faker.
People say that about you
Yeah,
too.
I
You're
was
pretty
just gonna
ebullient
say.
yourself. Yeah.
There's a plenty of people that say Pam can't possibly be like that all the time.
So I was so thrilled to be able to have the concentrated time of being here on the show with him. And contrary to what some of the other producers said, I don't think Tom or Terry ever read the show sheets, right? Ever. But they
I don't like your tone.
they're so you're both such incredible chefs that you've encountered these subjects before, most likely, and could address anything, and sometimes just your fresh take on something that I was trying to push through, and yours always differing from Terry's, made for the best educational experience for me.
I still think people don't get that. Even 25 years later on the show, they don't understand that we both come from very different chef backgrounds, and we try to kind of have that little back and forth about why, rather than just
Yes.
taking for granted what the old wives' tale is about why you make stock with cold water or why you salt your pasta water or all those kind of things. We would intentionally kind of have that argument to be educational.
I know, and I learned so much from it, and now I can approach a dish. I can either do the Tom way or the Terry way.
The
and
Tom way always seems to come out better for me.
Mhm.
For me.
For you.
For you. It always has more color. But the other thing that was fun about his recollections was, and what informed his cooking, was talking about his mom
Yeah.
Yeah.
and
Mama
being
Jeanette.
being in the farm and having that abundant garden, and just the pure simplicity of flavors. And
Now, did you
honoring them.
believe all his stories? Like every time we had a chat, he would say, "Oh, when my father grew the pig and we killed the pig," or when he
100%.
made the wine in the barn, and it's just it's like out of a picture book, the way he talked
Yeah.
about it. Yeah.
And I believe it is. I have an agricultural background, and that is how it is. You hang out with the pigs and you feed the chickens, and
Mhm.
so yeah, I did believe that. But I really want to meet his mom. I'm thinking about her a lot right now.
I don't imagine we'll meet his mom again. I don't know, but I would love to someday have her put the food, because that was his
Yes.
very favorite
Very
dish.
favorite.
Yeah.
Let's try to make it.
Every time he would go home, he would say that would be on the table when he got in the door.
Yeah. And one of the really charming elements of the show that entertained me was watching the guests that came to flirt with you and Terry.
Mm-hmm.
Because
With Terry. With Terry. Yeah.
Oh no.
Oh, his accent. And Terry would always say, well, in Sheboygan. I got a lot of comments on my note about Terry wasn't born in Sheboygan. It's like, well, you should listen to the radio show, because he often says that's where he learned his French accent.
There was so much giddiness in the room from guests that felt that they'd learned from you both over the time, and to be here in this intimate setting with you at the show was really charming. And I love the variety of guests that he brought, that he was close to, who he was trying to promote. I think several times, and we got so many comments on him bringing Armantino Batali.
Oh, yeah.
And telling the stories, the butcher story, and the butcher marrying the Mike when he was in danger of getting closed down to make the offense go away. It was pretty wonderful. And that garden that he was helping with Taryn, Shark Garden.
Yes, Shark Garden. Yeah,
Shark
that's right,
Garden,
yeah.
a new community garden down
Right.
in Burien. He gathered a flock around him of people that he was so passionate about.
I felt as he aged that really came out of him, that passion to help the next generation, promote their businesses and to appreciate what they were doing, whether it was the same as what he
Yeah.
did or something new. He always loved something new.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he cultivated a wonderful audience for us from the people he was supporting.
Yeah.
Which was wonderful. And I just heard from our manager of the meal program.
Down at the Pike Place?
Yep. That Terry, some of the cooks that she had worked with from over the years, he had taken in some cooks as interns and went on to successful careers.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, from things they learned from him.
Yeah. Well, he was one of the first chefs when you were on the board at Common Meals, which is now Fair Start.
Yep.
He was one of the first chefs that signed up for the Thursday night suppers. I know I did one right after him or right before him, or I can't remember. I mean, that's 30 years ago. How long ago is that? Shh. Oh, you're not that old.
Don't
Never
tell
mind.
people
Don't tell
how long
people.
ago that was.
Yeah. So, he embraced that role in our city, which is, I think, going to be sorely missed.
Pam, can I share a comment we just got in from Facebook or YouTube Live? Like Pam, I also made a tribute dinner. Carrot and ginger soup with roasted cauliflower, a la Tom Douglas from his Rover's Cookbook. The soup
Nice.
didn't have a knob of butter. It had 2/3 a cup.
That is a soup I want to eat. It's so good.
And this is our buddy Jim, who attended the James Beard Award last night, winning
Oh,
from
that's
our
right.
contest.
Did he
Yes.
stay in the hotel here? Yeah.
Yes, he did. And he said it was a nice tribute. And everybody did a tribute to Terry last night
Oh,
at
sweet.
the, at the
good.
James Beard Award.
That's
So-
Yeah, and Jim sent in a memorial donation. Thank you, Jim.
Oh,
In Terry's honor, and noted,
to the Pike Place.
yeah,
oh.
how much Terry had contributed just to humanity
Right.
with
Yeah,
the way that
absolutely.
he lived.
Right.
Thank you, Jim.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And Jim has a
Because
little dinner club called the Four Hot Tomatoes, or what?
4 guys and a tomato.
4 guys and a tomato.
Those are the guys that pranked you and made the juju trivia once, and you were
Yeah.
mortified. Yeah.
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 He was
Yeah,
at the show
that lives
a couple
on.
weeks ago. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I think the last call out that I want is to talk about how much he loved drinking champagne with his wife, Kathy.
Aw.
Because I remember, I think it was last Christmas, and we're all like, everybody's frantic. What are we doing? Tons of, and I was asking what they were doing. They were going to spend the day together, just relaxing and drinking
relaxing.
champagne and being together. They're so in
So
love.
Yeah.
sweet.
It's just
I think it's one of the interesting things about getting the diagnosis that he got was that with or without his operation, he had a limited amount of time, and he chose to live it at the high end of life, as far as could see. And not.
oh, he already was though.
I know he was, but
But even
he appreciated it even
Yeah.
more. I think. So.
and even sick, like it just didn't stop him from doing the things that he loved. I mean, he was on a trip
Portugal.
to Portugal
2 months ago.
2 months ago,
Yeah.
right? Because he wanted to go and he loved to travel that way. And he was doing those group trips that he was,
Morocco.
Yeah.
Until he couldn't.
Until
he
he couldn't.
literally
I
did them
mean,
until he
yeah.
couldn't. Yeah.
I think some people would have been more limited by that diagnosis than he chose to be. And,
Yeah.
You would never know talking to him other than the fact that he was wearing oxygen. You would never have known that was
Absolutely.
affecting him in that way.
Yeah, and that he had been given basically, a limited amount of time.
Yeah.
So by the doctors. So when we come back to our final segment, we're going to wrap up this particular tribute to Chef Thierry. You're listening to us here on the Hot Stove Society Show on Cairo 97.3 FM. You're not going anywhere yet, Hinkley. You're not done. Oh, yeah?
You can take
She's still in Bend? And they broke up, right?
I might have made.
Wow, you're meaner than I remember. I didn't know there was an issue there. People say that about me and Jackie all the time, so you can just zip it, Missy. I think they do.
Great job, Pamela.
Not done.
Oh. And you know what I was thinking? I'm not kidding. I think it's was years. You know what I mean? So like by the time you nobody did them.
Lifeline, but there'll be more.
Yeah.
We're going
He
about it.
actually kind of came
very active.
That he wrote 15 minutes before the show, right here.
I was telling Pamela, I think it's more nervous.
Yeah. Okay, let's wrap this up.
My favorite battle with you guys.
Uh-huh.
For toast?
Yeah.
It's a good idea.
I was
It's
right.
stale.
You use fresh bread. Why would you use stale bread?
I remember hearing that.
Whatever.
Wow. So
Okay, we're having some fun here thinking about Chef Thierry and thinking about all the arguments we used to have and the ones that I was mostly right about. I can say that now because he's not here to fight me.
he's listening.
He's listening. Pamela's been our guest. We've also had Amy Pennington. We've had Amy Richardson. We've had Madeline Dow, Tina Nole. Loretta's here. And our current producer, sure to quit soon. Becky Guzak is here. Becky, any thoughts before we wrap things up
Yeah,
today?
just to add on, my last conversation with Terry was here after a show,
Uh-huh.
and there were these three lovely guests that had so much fun here, and they kind of hunted him down, and we had a long conversation. They were smitten, and he was talking about how amazing how he was so grateful that he was privileged that he liked to work hard, And that enabled him to meet so many people.
Mm.
And he talked about his family and all these friends. And he said, every day is a bonus. I've had a full life. I've traveled. It was just so sweet
Yeah.
and so profound and inspiring. And he'd said, I look at all the little things. And I know you talked about his curiosity. And it's so true. He could just find joy in everything.
Yeah.
And he was always whistling or singing or humming. And it's just so.
Are we going to sing something?
No, I don't think we are.
You
Especially not you. One thing I'll say from my thoughts, I wrote a lot of my thoughts down in my note on our website and on our Instagram. Where did that go, Amy? Our
Instagram, Facebook.
Was that I was super happy that I told him what a fine man I thought he was
When he was alive.
right to his face.
Yep.
For many times.
Yep.
And I think that if you've never done that to somebody that you love, like I say that to Pamela all the time because I just think she's the bomb.
Yeah.
Give
Tell
people
them
their
to their
flowers.
face.
Yep.
Yeah, tell them
them.
to their face and let them know how you feel because you never know.
You
right?
never know.
So that was one of my favorite things about him is that he was a good man. He'd be a role model for any young person that I could ever want to say, you should follow this guy because it wasn't just about his job. It was about how he lived his life.
Yeah, how he treated his family, how
His
he
team.
treated his team, how he treated his friends. I mean, I've knew him my whole life, but I really knew him through watching the two of you be friends.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And in less of a professional setting, but in really just you both were really good friends to each other. And I think you supported the things that each other was doing in a really beautiful way. You showed up for each other. I watched him show up for all of his friends and his friends do so for him in return. And I think that speaks to someone's character when they have the amount of people that he has had that want to and joyfully show up for him. Unfortunately, now that he's passed, but people were showing up for him forever.
Right. And they're showing up for him right now. Look at the comments online.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
And like you said, like it's one thing to speak in memoriam of like, oh, he was a great person, but you could have asked anybody, I think, through his life, and they would have told you the same thing and would have told him the same thing
Mhm.
to his face.
Pammy, any closing thoughts from you?
That we all strive to find that kind of joy.
Yeah.
And remember, hold them in our heart really close.
Yeah. It's hard. It's hard to let that out. For me, I know it's especially I'm not open that way. So it's hard. Sean, you worked with Thierry every week here at the show. You're our technical producer.
It's just I don't have too much new. I just want to reiterate a lot of things that have already been said beautifully, but he just had such an unwavering spirit and generosity with his, in addition to the amount of work that goes into the cooking, how he does to still put that energy out there. It just takes a lot, and there's not enough people like that.
I totally agree. Yeah. And, the way he would address our team here at the Hot Stove, whether it was Bridget or Annie or Kat or whatever, coming in with a smile and just in his chefy way, oh, what are you doing?
It always helps when you start with a kiss.
Yeah. Well,
Jesus.
Yeah, it's funny how people don't put their cheek out to me like they do to him. They just can't wait when they have that. There's been a lot of comments on our YouTube page, so if you want to re-listen to this show, just go to TD & Co. and download this show, and you can hear a repeat of it. Next week, we're actually taping it tomorrow, but we're going to do Leslie Kelly is going to join me from New Mexico. She's in her RV in New Mexico. But she did an interview with Terry last July, about an hour long, and we've broken it up into segments. And we're going to listen to what he has to say about life and all. I think she kind of went through his whole career from the segments that I've listened to already. And so we're going to break those up into things that fit the show, and we're going to do them next week. And so if you want to listen in, you can always obviously download our podcast anytime. You don't have to have it on the day of. Sean, what's our time frame? All right. I will say that he was a good pal. Life is short. I know when I lost my good friend Kenny almost 30 years ago, you realize you don't have too many friends. and I don't like losing them. And at our age, I just turned 65. We just had our 40th wedding anniversary.
Wow.
At our age, your friends start to teeter a little bit. I just found out another good friend of mine has bladder cancer. That makes 2. So it's like you got to hug
Life
them.
is precious.
Turn around, give somebody
Tell
that
them
you
you
know a
love 'em.
hug.
A kiss on
and
each cheek.
kiss in each cheek for Chef Terry. And really just be honest and thoughtful and enjoy them. And don't let a day go by without them knowing how you feel.
As Terry would say, bada bing, bada boom.
Bada
Bada
bing,
bing,
bada boom.
just like you should say voila. but
We're
he
going
would
to
say-
take this out. Sean DeTore is going to play Dancing Queen because to end our show because Terry always loved a good dance.
Yes.
Sean
Certainly.
DeTore, take it away.
Nice. Oh, Sean's gonna have so much fun with the music for this
I
one.
know.
Sean, don't forget Willie Nelson.
Oh, that's right, Willie Nelson.
Yeah, there's got to be a lot of Willie Nelson. Talking Heads, some of the favorites.
Did you hear the Julia Child one where they mashed it up, where she's just talking and put it into a song?
Uh-uh.
So there's this, and I was asking my son, what's the program I can do that? It'd be so fun to get Terry all the things that he said. So Sean played it on one of the segments, and it's Julia
Oh.
Child. It's as if she's singing, and it's all her sense, all more.
But her
better.
voice is
Yes.
so musical.
Yeah, and
that
so it's kind of a fun thing to do. And I know with AI you can do that, but I know Terry's at some point.
I'd be curious to hear that again.
Yeah.
Maybe I bet Sean has it.
Yep.
Yeah. You can ask him that.
I did.
So
Or Sean, I'm asking you that.
I read Leslie's article in Forbes. So she also has a audio.
The Forbes was more recent.
That was in August. The Forbes
Oh,
one was
okay.
I don't remember. Maybe it's the same one.
August 29th, I think.
I thought she said July, but maybe it was the August Forbes one interview. But this is a live tape. So it's not, well, maybe so. Maybe she did a print off of that tape
So Kathy's coming at 11ish.
at 11. Yeah.
Do you want to do the promo?
Good call. I forgot.
Someone's paying attention.
Thank you.
All right. Quiet on the set, please. Quiet on the set. I'm going to do Sean DeTore. I'm going to do the outro along with the promo. If you want to be, you're so eloquent. If you want to be part of our show, you can join the community at YouTube Live at Tom Douglas & Co. or buy a ticket to join us here in the Hot Stove Society kitchen at hotstovesociety.com. The show is produced by Becky Gusak, the whole Tom Douglas team. Sean McFadden is our technical wizard, and our talented editor at Cairo is Sean. Please don't call me Del Torre. Remember, if you miss any episode of our Hot Stove Society show on Cairo, you can listen via podcast. Just subscribe with your favorite podcast app.
Thanks for listening.